Welcome back to TC Talk Sports, your favorite sports channel on YouTube, doing a team preview for every single team in the NBA. More than halfway through. I got to get them done. I promise I will. So make sure you hit that subscribe button to follow along on this journey. Also go over to TikTok and follow TC Talk Sports on there. I post something on TikTok and here every single day. Subscribe, follow, like, share. You won't regret it. I'm all smiles today because in this preview, I'm finally getting to my favorite team in the NBA. If you couldn't tell by the thumbnail or this awesome shirt that I'm wearing, today's preview is about the best team in the NBA, the Dallas Mavericks. Last season, the Mavs finished 50-32. That was fifth best in the West, winning the Western Conference Finals, getting to the NBA championship, and they were this close to making me a very happy boy. Unfortunately, they lost to the Celtics in 5 games. In the championship, Celtics, one of the best teams of all time, so can't be too mad. But it was a fantastic year, a beautiful team to watch last season. I'm expecting more of the same this year. Beginning of last year didn't start out too hot for the Dallas Mavericks, but about 50 games into the season, they made 2 huge moves that proved to be big impacts for this team for the rest of the year. 2 guys, not huge, big-name players in the league, but they played their roles perfectly for this Mavs team. They got P.J. Washington and Daniel Gafford. They each played 29 games for the Mavericks last season. Defensively, this team was one of the best teams on defense in that second half of the year and going into the playoffs. It was beautiful to watch because you got guys like Luka and Kyrie on the offensive side. They're going to get theirs every game, but defensively, P.J. Washington and Daniel Gafford, spectacular years. Starting off with, I think, the second best player in the NBA, Luka Doncic. Yes, that is a Slovenian Luka Doncic jersey. Last year, he led the team in points, rebounds, and assists, led the league in scoring, averaging 33.9 points per game, also a career high for him. Shot a career high 38.2% from 3, set a career high with 9.8 assists per game. That was second best in the league, and he also finished the year averaging 9.1 rebounds per game, also adding 21 triple-doubles to his stat line in the 2024 season. I don't expect anything less in this 2025 season. We've seen a couple games in the NBA so far this season. I don't think he has a triple-double yet, but he's come very close, of course, and he's still putting up the numbers, and I expect that to continue this year. He was an MVP finalist, obviously, going to Nikola Jokic, who I think is the best player in the league. Luka's number 2. Rest of my list, I will not reveal. First team All-NBA, of course, just one of the best offensive players of all time. And he plays alongside Kyrie Irving, one of the best point guards of all time, one of the best current point guards in the league. He got injured for a couple stretches last season. He only played 58 games. He averaged 25.6 points per game. That put him 14th best in the league. Shot 41.1% from 3, 5.2 assists per game, 5 rebounds per game. I mean, if you know basketball, you know Kyrie Irving, you know just how damn good he is at basketball. The best ball handler of all time. No debate about that. Magic Johnson, maybe, whatever. But Kyrie is just a freak, and it's a joy to watch him and Luka be able to operate on the floor at the same time. As I mentioned at the beginning of this video, P.J. Washington acquired more than halfway through the year last year for the Mavs, played 29 games, played 32 minutes per game for the Mavs, was almost immediately injected into that starting lineup. 11.7 points per game, shot a career low 31.4% from 3, but there were stretches where he would make 4 or 5 3-pointers per game, but then he would also have games where he would shoot 1 for 10, 2 for 11, whatever it was. I think they're going to need him to be an efficient 3-point shooter this season, but also pulling in 6.2 rebounds last year for the Mavs. Defense is what really brought this team together and made them so successful and able to make a deep run into the playoffs last year. Daniel Gafford, he averaged a career-high 11 points per game last season playing with the Wizards and the Mavs. Shot 72.5% from the field. Obviously number 1 in the league. I mean, it was every time he gets around the rim, that ball was going in the hoop. A lot of that coming on lobs and dunks, but around the rim, he's a scary player to try to defend. Also averaged 2.1 blocks per game, 7th best in the league, one of the best rim protectors in the league. I mean, he's like 6'11". His wingspan has to be like 12 feet because he's a monster. He plays volleyball out there on the defensive side. I mean, he's tough to stop offensively and defensively. I'm happy the Mavs got him. I was happy when I first initially saw the signing of him, and he just proved throughout the year how efficient and how effective he can be on the floor. The offseason for the Mavs, making one of the biggest moves in the offseason. I think we're going to have to wait till about the midway point of the year or the end of the season to just see how beneficial it was. But everyone knows, Mavs signing Klay Thompson, one of the best shooters of all time. His numbers have declined a little bit, but he's going to have to be a really good three-point shooter for this Mavs team this year if they want to make another deep run, because in the offseason they also lost Derrick Jones Jr. and Josh Green, two really good perimeter defenders. Thompson at one time in his career was arguably one of the best 3-and-D perimeter defenders in the league, but since his injury 4 years ago or whatever it was, his defense has visibly declined if you watch the NBA at all. So if he's able to play at an average or slightly above average defensive level while making a lot of threes and having a high three-point shooting percentage, I think this team's going to be okay. Just name-wise and on paper, this is one of the biggest offseason moves this year. He's looking pretty good so far in these first couple games for the Mavs, but we're going to need him to shoot at a Hall of Fame level this year. Two smaller signings for the Mavs in the offseason. They signed Quentin Grimes and Spencer Dinwiddie. Dinwiddie played with the Mavs from 2021 to 2023. I used to really like Dinwiddie. The last couple years, he's kind of regressed in his game because he's a guard that can score down low, drive to the rim, shoot threes, be a good guy, assisting the ball, pull in a couple rebounds per game, be a little active on the defensive side of the floor, but I think his game has just decreased a little bit, so not a huge impact for him. Quentin Grimes at times looked like the best shooter in the NBA the past couple years, and at times looked like the worst player overall in the NBA. I think it's a good signing for the Mavs. He's not going to get a whole lot of minutes, but I think he can be a good piece off the bench for Dallas. Basically just a 3-and-D guy. Guard out on the perimeter. I think they basically try to replace Josh Green with Grimes. I don't think Grimes is as good of a defender as Green is or a ball handler, but if Grimes can also shoot the three ball well, I think at the end of the season we're going to look back and say it was a good signing for the Mavs. My player to watch is Jaden Hardy. Casual NBA fans might know this name by now, but I think he's a really good backup point guard. I mean, I don't see him starting for any teams in the league unless there's some serious injuries to their rosters, but he's coming into his third year with the Mavs. He played 73 games last year, averaged 13 minutes per game, scored 7.3 points per game, shot 36.3% from three. He is a really good three-point shooter. The percentage might not be as high as it should be, but he is a good shooter. He's a good scorer, and the Mavs have found a good role for him off the bench through his first 2 years there. I think his potential is yet to be untapped. Unfortunately, he might have to go to another team where he gets more minutes, not playing behind two of the best guards in the world with Luka and Kyrie, but he's a very good bench player for this Mavericks team. We saw it last year and 2 years ago, and we're going to continue to see it this year. Good ball handler, good shooter. He can score off the dribble, catch and shoot threes. I mean, he can do it all. Offensively, he's quick, good handles, but the opportunity and playing time just hasn't been there for him too much. Overall, Jaden Hardy, good player. If he's on the floor, you want to watch him. My prediction for the Dallas Mavericks, biased aside, I think they're going to finish top 4 in the West. I don't think that's a crazy hot take or anything. They basically have the same team as last year. Losing Derrick Jones Jr. and Josh Green, I think, are bigger losses than people realize. But as the season goes on, I think their defense will come together and still be good. Like I said earlier, they need Klay Thompson to play well. Defensively, could be a little bit of a liability at times, but he's looked good so far this season for the Mavs in the first 5 or 6 games, whatever it is. But he has to shoot the ball well. Anything under 40% to me is going to be unacceptable. I mean, who am I to say? But he's one of the best shooters of all time. I think he's still capable of shooting that way. He's not the player he once was with those Golden State Warriors championship teams, but I still believe he can play at a high level. Being in a new uniform on a new team, I think that's going to put a little bit of energy into him. I think he's going to finish the year playing well. Mavericks as a team, top 4 in the West. They are more than capable of maybe repeating, getting back to the championship, but the West is so deep, so tough. I could see them making to the Western Conference Finals. I can confidently say that because they are still going to be a really good team. I think they can be championship contenders. I don't see them winning the championship, but don't be surprised if you're 2025 champions are the Dallas Mavericks.